Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's Kalia here, and this video is going to be about pet ownership and the pros and cons of what I have found in pet ownership. So let me start by saying that 2 years ago, during the pandemic, I decided, after probably more than 8 or 9 years of my son pleading with me about having a cat, to get him a cat. I am not a cat person, but I'm not against cats. I will pet them. I've always been friendly to cats. Growing up on my grandfather's and grandmother's land, there were always cats. As you know, culturally, our pets never were in the house. They were not house pets. They were always outside. And so there was not that extra task of keeping them maintained in a home. So that was all new to me. I've always desired a dog, Labradoodle per se, something along that line that doesn't shed, but I also know that those are very costly. They are just like having a child for sure, and they take a lot more time. So my son really negotiated and pleaded with me and told me that he felt that a cat would be easier and that he was mature and old enough to get this cat. So this cat came for his 14th birthday of 2020. And a lot of my little homegirls, they are cat owners and lovers, and they helped me through the process of adopting the cat from the shelter. I had to go and pick him out, and everything was, not close contact because we were in the middle of the pandemic for sure. So out of about 2 cats, I found that Douglas was very social and kind of outgoing, and he really kind of ran up to me along with another cat. And I knew that I preferred a social cat for my son because all of his life, and as a younger child, when we would visit certain friends and the cats were skittish, they would run away, go under the couch, he was not happy about that, and he would always ask why. So I hoped for a social cat. So I adopted the cat a few days before his birthday, got him home, had to spend like 2 days with him without my son, and then boom, there was the surprise. So at first, he was a little bitty thing, not very furry, very social, of course, and just the sweetest little thing. He still is. But now that he's 2 years old, he is long haired. We discovered that within the year he was going to be a long haired feline. And so he sheds quite a bit. And he is very almost needy, like a puppy. He loves to play chase, hide and seek. We have a ton of fun with him. But what I've also realized as one of the cons is that newness, it wears off. And so my son has been really dedicated to the cat. He has really done a good job about cleaning the litter box, vacuuming after him and things like that. But it's kind of when he gets on the couch when I don't want him to, and then there's, fur on the couch and stuff like that. I'm constantly, rolling and trying to keep that part of it cleaned up. And then of course, at one time I was working from home, my son was remote going to school, and we were able to kind of cater to this cat and give him more time. So then you fast forward to February 2022, I was laid off from my job, and then I started back working within about 2 months. So since then, that job is more 90% in the office. I do have the capability and the equipment to work remote when things come up, but of course, I try to use it sparingly because I never know what's going to go on. So as the cat got older and things like that, he has pretty much been on a strict dry food diet, and sometimes we would throw in some wet food as a treat, but of course this is all new to me and I'm not knowing. And so we're on this dry food. I get the bag from Whole Foods. It's around $9. I usually have to replenish it about every 2 to 3 weeks. So that's about $20 a month just for the food. We would get wet food on occasion and mix that in, and then he really enjoyed that. But we were mainly on this dry food diet, and it was grain free, supposedly like really healthy or whatever. And you never know what's going to go on with a cat or what kind of issues they're going to have. So with me back working and then my son back in school completely full time since August of 2021, it was just kind of like I was noticing that we weren't able to give him as much time. And you know, cats can be a little bit ornery, but again, he is a good cat. You know, just maybe a little bit more defiant, maybe just doing things because we're not here and the cat is alone. We did get him used to being outside, to kind of chew on grass and just play out in the yard a little bit. And then he started to wander away the more and more he got accustomed to that. So we had to kind of watch that, and we don't let him go out every day just because the weather changes. Sometimes there are little foxes that run out, and we just never know. So with going back to the new kind of wears off, with us both being out of the house and just different stressors coming up in both of our situations, I noticed that, you know, sometimes we wouldn't change the litter box every single day. It might be, you know, every 2 days, and then I had to kind of get on my son about that, which with that whole situation, I pretty much am in more care of the cat because my son goes with his dad every other week or so, and so then he gets a break from the cat, but it's always on me. And when he's here, I try to give him that responsibility because this is what he really wanted. And so then after a while, I started to notice about a month and a half ago that I wasn't getting as much urine in the litter box, but I mean, you know, regular bowel movements, but there wasn't as much urine, and I couldn't quite figure it out. So I did put a little bit of like some digestive stuff in his water to kind of help clear it up, and things seemed better. But then within 2 weeks, all of a sudden I was noticing that there were like little bitty red spots in the floor, and then he was like constantly in the litter box, and I thought that he was being defiant, like just going in there and just scratching up litter. Like, I couldn't get it, and then I was just like, okay, that red is actually coming from him, and that's blood. So I really paid attention the weekend before on a Saturday, and then I had to go out of town. So by Monday, I was calling the vet, but they wanted him in really early so they could gauge from like 7 in the morning till about 9 or 10 to just really see what was going on. So I couldn't get him in, and then the following day, I got him in. So I took him to the vet, and they monitored him, and by midday, they were just telling me that he had obstruction, like he couldn't urinate. And so the problem was is that he was trying to urinate constantly, but actually couldn't. And so that turned into like little blood kind of dripping out. And so I was just like, I don't know. Now I can say in the past that I had yoga blocks, and my son, I think, thought it was kind of funny to let him scratch at that and gnaw at that. And I was realizing that I felt like he was actually like ingesting some of that, but I didn't know what to do. I was like, well, hopefully he will poop it out. I don't know. And so then you fast forward to this problem we have, and I don't know if it was like the litter box. I really don't know, but he ended up just having like this stress with his urinary tract, and he needs to be on this special CD diet and all of this other stuff. So they ended up having to sedate him, and they said they need to keep him a couple of nights, and it was a whole thing. You guys, the vet bill is just like racked up. And then this food, when I was asking them about it, the vet was like, it's 4 times to 5 times more than what you probably normally pay. And it's no lie, because like the canned food is about $2.60 a can, and then the dry food for a bag is $34 with tax. So you guys, like, this is becoming a complete issue for me, and I am highly considering rehoming our pet. And although I'm not as attached to the pet as much as the pet is attached to me, because he thinks I'm his mom, and my son is attached to the pet, it's just that I don't find it to be in my budget to handle the special dietary needs. And they said that this special diet could be needed for up to a month or a lifetime, and we just don't know. We're just now in day, I got him back on Friday, so we're just on like day 3 of him being on this diet, and I had to go up there today and get a bag of the dry food because he's actually preferring the dry food. He's eating the wet food because he doesn't want to starve, but he's so used to the routine, and he's like expecting that I'll open the pantry and scoop out his dry food. So they told me he could have the dry food from the vet, but it has to be the CD. And if you guys know anything about what I'm talking about, please feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. You know, I don't want like mean and unnecessary comments, but anything that's helpful or maybe reassuring or maybe to help relieve some of the mom guilt of actually wanting to rehome the pet. Honestly, at the time, I don't feel like I was just doing it because it was the pandemic and we don't know what to expect, but I felt like, well, we're at home and we could care for and nurture this kitten and grow him up, and then we would be here with him more so, and then I'd probably have like a longer stint of working remote and we would be more available for him. Now, cats aren't as needy. They're very independent and they can do things on their own, but this particular kitten, he is very social and he loves us and he wants to be with us and he wants to play chase and he wants us to pet him. So he is a different type of cat, in my opinion. Like, I feel like he's a puppy trapped in a cat's body, if I'm honest. And I just feel like a lot of guilt about rehoming him because it is making my son a little bit disappointed and sad. But I just told him, like, I couldn't plan for this. I couldn't plan for this issue, and I don't know how long this issue is going to go on. I did call one resource to see about getting someone to foster him and eventually getting him rehomed. They didn't have any space, and she gave me like a long list of other agencies that I could call. And at this point, I'm just completely tapped out. I'm really overwhelmed with trying to work / make these phone calls, and then just like the vet bill alone. You know, it was basically $400 for his medical care, being sedated. He had to get a catheter. It was a whole thing. So I just hope that me doing this informative video about pet ownership can maybe help you decide on if it's something that you want to do for you and your family. I'm not saying that it's all bad. You do have a lot of fun with the cat, but for me personally, in my mind, I always say I would never do this cat thing again, never. He also does spit up a lot of hairballs. It's not really bad. I feel like it's maybe once or twice a month or every other month, but it could have been more recently because he had so much going on in his digestive system, and maybe he ingested, you know, foam from my yoga blocks, etc. So like I said, I think that he's one of those cats that he gets a little stir crazy when we're both out of the house, and he tends to get into more things when we're not here or if we're just not paying attention. Other than that, he's a good cat. You know, he lets us bathe him pretty regularly. He lets us clip his claws pretty regularly, and he's been a lot of fun. But I feel like for me, and not to be completely stressed out and with just everything that's increased financially, like I had no clue that this is what it would be 2 years ago, the way inflation has happened and all of that. So I just really feel like I need to rehome the cat. I don't know how my son is going to handle it if I really do push the button on it, but maybe some of you have been in this situation and you could give me some feedback and help me. I would greatly appreciate it. So I just basically wanted to get on here and kind of tell you what I feel like has been the pros and cons of having a cat after 2 years, and just really just share that with you guys and be transparent about it. I will say that he keeps me company when I'm just here chilling, and you know, I can go and run errands and do a full day or an overnight situation as long as I have food and water for him. But this is unfortunate and it's causing me to be a little bit stressed. So I think that's all I have about the cat situation. Oh, I did want to share with you guys the food right now. This is basically a prescription diet. And look, he's running over here because he thinks that it's for him and that it's time to eat, because that's just how he is, rotten. But anyways, this is a prescription diet, and it's CD multi-care stress, and it's basically urinary care. And I don't know like what happened with him when, you know, he was born, because I got him from the shelter. I don't know what issues his parents may have had or anything like that. But this is what this bag is, $34. They said that I can find it online through maybe Chewy and possibly get it a little bit cheaper, but I couldn't wait for the shipping time at this point with everything going on. And they have said with the pandemic, there have been also some supply shipping issues for them as well. So this is the canned food that you know, he was on. Is basically the same thing. It's just a wet food. And again, he thinks that it's for him and he thinks that it's time to eat, but it's not. So anyways, this is kind of his new life and new diet for now until we can figure out if he can go back to the regular diet or if this is going to be a lifetime thing. But again, you guys, I'm open to feedback. Let me know if you've ever been through anything like this. And again, I really appreciate you for taking the time to come here, hang out with me. If you've been rocking with me, you know I appreciate you. And if you're new here, thank you and welcome to my channel. Until next time, peace, abundance, blessings. Bye.